Good morning, everybody. We'd like to call to order the October 8, 2020 meeting of the Board of Regents. Please call roll.
Regent Beal. Regent Miller. Here.
Here.
Regent Schroeder.
Here.
Regent Clare.
Yes.
Regent Hawks.
Here.
Regent O'Connor. Here. Regent Ferris.
Here.
Regent Pillen.
Here.
Regent Schaefer.
Here.
Regent White. Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you. In your materials, you have a copy of the minutes for the meeting of August 14, 2020. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Regent Clare, second.
Second.
Second by Regent Schroeder. Please call roll. Or if there's any comments or on the minutes or corrections. Hearing none, please call roll.
Regent Miller.
Yes.
Regent Moore.
Yes.
Regent Schroeder.
Yes.
Regent Beal.
Yes.
Regent Hawks.
Yes, if that's me, but I'm not hearing you very well, Stacy.
Does this go to Regent Hawks?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor. Regent Ferris.
Yes.
Regent Pillen.
Yes.
Regent Schaefer.
Yes.
Regent White. Yes. Regent Clare.
Yes.
Motion passes.
In compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, the board has posted a copy of the act near the welcome table at the top of the stairs behind you. Before we announce our kudos recipients today, I believe that we have a leadership group from UNK with us. Chancellor Christensen, would you please help us recognize and welcome this group?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With us today is the leadership group of staff. It is quite a tradition at this point on our campus. Leadership UNK, they're here. Their goal is to obviously learn as much about the university in a broader perspective, not just their individual jobs. This has been a very successful program as it has produced a number of campus leaders and I think really improved our campus. They're with us this morning. If I could have them stand and would appreciate their recognition.
Please.
Thank you.
This is the
Welcome and thank you for all you do as servants out at UNK. We appreciate it greatly. At the beginning of each Board of Regents meeting, we take time to recognize people who are often don't receive the recognition at work. The Board of Regents believes it's vitally important that we acknowledge your commitment and your contributions. Kudos recipients are nominated by their peers, the people they work elbow to elbow with. When you really think about it, that's the greatest honor of all in regard to the Kudos Awards. So the recipients, we hope that you enjoy your recognition via live stream. Our first Kudos recipient this morning is Heidi Haussermann from the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and the award will be presented by Regent Whites. Regent Whites.
Hello. On behalf of the Board of Regents, I am pleased to present a Kudos Award to Ms. Heidi Haussermann, Assistant Director of Information Technology, Client Services at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. The responsibilities of this position require not only significant knowledge of the subject, but also the ability to communicate that knowledge to faculty, students, and staff, and the commitment to stay current in the constantly changing world of technology. Heidi excels in all of these. She provides technology assistance to support hardware and software in a variety of academic settings, manages the help desk and the tech coordinators in arts and sciences and in education, and is UNK's SAP Security Coordinator. She also serves on the Two-Factor Integration Committee, Employee Separations Working Group, the Knowledge-Based Project Group, and Footprints Integration Team. She earned her Bachelor of Arts from UNK, is a proud Loper, and is Dell, Lenovo, and HP certified. Heidi is one of those rare employees who, when their name is mentioned, people always have something good to say. And that happened to me as I arrived today. The first thing they said was, Heidi is amazing. The reason, her supervisor, director of IT academic support, Jane Peterson, puts it this way: Heidi has undoubtedly assisted and helped more faculty, staff, and students than any other person at UNK. A recent ITS survey adds additional support, yielding comments such as, continues to go above and beyond to help, very knowledgeable, always kind and courteous. Even after several questions, that means she must have incredible patience. Have you come to, many people have come to rely on her for help. Heidi says she loves helping people. She tries to focus on their needs, assist them to work more efficiently and effectively. She tries to build good working relationships and wants everyone she helps to have a positive experience. She is a previous recipient of UNK's Staff Award for Excellence and the ITS Technology Excellence Award. Day by day and week by week, Heidi Haussermann illustrates how knowledge, kindness, and commitment can bring admiration, respect, and recognition. Congratulations, Heidi, from the entire university community.
Thank you, Regent Weiss. Congratulations, Heidi. Chancellor Christensen.
With us this morning. I'm sure she's back working, but if there's any one person we can't afford to lose, it's Heidi. She has answered more stupid questions and been more patient with more of us, and quite frankly, our office in particular just relies on her. So I appreciate the board recognizing Heidi at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Christensen. Regent Schaefer will present the Kudos Award to Tony Rathegeber from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Regent Schaefer.
On behalf of the Board of Regents, I am pleased to announce and present the Kudos Award to Tony Rathegeber, Associate Director of Conference Services and Collaborations for Housing Conference Services at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Since joining UNL in 2000, Tony has served as a Residence Hall Director, Conference Services and Events Coordinator, Assistant Director for Conference Services, Interim Director of Residence Life, and most recently, the Associate Director for Conference Services and Collaborations. During his campus career, Tony has made significant contributions to the university. Upon assuming the role of Interim Director of Residence Life in December 2018, he recognized the need for an enhanced structure. He immediately set to work rebuilding campus partnerships, establishing trust, respect, and accountability by connecting areas of residence life to other areas within the university housing that had previously not been connected. He worked closely with assistant directors, residence directors, resident assistants, front desk workers, and others to create a sense of belonging. According to his nominator, Tony's leadership style, his drive to effectively collaborate, and the amount of effort he pours into everything he does is unmatched. With his calm, positive, and nurturing leadership style, housing efficiently transitioned over 4,000 off-campus students in March when COVID-19 forced the university to go remote. Tony has led the Student Affairs COVID-19 Task Force and most recently assumed a leadership role on the Public Health Advocacy Team, serving as Student Affairs COVID-19 Response Coordinator and Public Health Point Person. In this capacity, he leads the implementation of strategies to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. He helps monitor the spread across all units in student affairs, namely University Housing and Dining Services, Residence Life, Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, Nebraska Unions, and Campus Recreations. And he also works closely with directors to educate staff and students about COVID-19 public health issues. His love of a good spreadsheet keeps Student Affairs COVID-19 response organized and efficient. Tony is an extraordinary leader who puts the needs of his team, his students, and this university first. He consistently demonstrates respect and compassion for others, and he is an affable nature, clear insight, and has a guiding vision that has garnered the respect and admiration of the university community. Please join me in thanking Tony for his dedication to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Congratulations, Tony, and thank you. Kirk Groff from the University of Nebraska Medical Center is our next recipient, and Regent Schroeder will make the presentation. Regent Schroeder.
On behalf of the Board of Regents, I am pleased to present a kudos award to Kirk Groff, Workstation Specialist 3 in Pediatrics Administration at UNMC. Kirk is the sole provider of workstation support for more than 300 people in the UNMC Department of Pediatrics and the Child Health Research Institute. Colleagues boast of Kirk's technology skills and knowledge and how it enables him to successfully navigate the complex world of faculty and staff who work on 3 different campuses and use 3 different systems. Said one nominee, he is incredibly proficient in a myriad of IT systems which help us to successfully collaborate across UNMC, Nebraska Medicine, and Children's Hospital IT system and platforms. Kirk anticipates the pediatric department's IT needs and offers suggestions to help resolve IT issues. He has helped them function during the pandemic by reshaping workstations and helping individuals successfully work from home. He was instrumental in guiding the department through an upgrade of its shared driving console and has helped UNMC researchers who work off-site within another institution's physical space. One nominee said, "Without Kirk working to ensure our department had the technology and remote access needed, we wouldn't have been able to continue advancing our critical mission." One administrator highlighted how Kirk helped the division get all of its faxes via email so they would not have to be printed. He also made it possible to send patient reports to medical records via email rather than faxing. This was especially helpful for individuals working from home during the pandemic. Kirk's UNMC colleagues and the Board of Regents acknowledge the critical work our IT heroes play every day in the success of our university and all of its missions. As Kirk's nominator succinctly said, having effective and timely support is critical for uninterrupted workflow. Please join me in thanking Kirk for 15 years of dedicated service to advancing patient care, teaching, and research at UNMC, and specifically within the Department of Pediatrics.
Congratulations, Kirk. Shannon Teamer from the University of Nebraska at Omaha is our next recipient, and the award will be presented by Regent Moore. Regent Moore.
Yeah, it is my honor to present this award as I've personally benefited from Shannon's leadership. On behalf of the Board of Regents, I am pleased to present a kudos award to Shannon Teamer, Senior Director of Inclusion Programs and Services in the Division of Student Success at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Shannon has been a member of the UNO team since 2017, originally joining as the director of the Project Achieve TRIO program and maintaining his leadership of that vital student support community while also enhancing and supporting broader multicultural affairs and first-generation student support programs and students. In August, Shannon and his team secured funding for Project Achieve through 2025, ensuring that nearly 1,000 students will benefit from the program, which supports academically underperforming students at any stage in their higher education career, and to keep them on track to graduation. Shannon has also been a true leader in the development of launch of UNO's First Generation Guild, a cross-campus community group that looks to support first-generation students academically, socially, and financially. The First Generation Guild launched in fall 2019 and supports the nearly 6,000 students on campus whose parents do not have degrees from four-year universities. This fall, UNO welcomed more than 1,600 new first-generation students to campus. As someone who not only is a champion for students from all backgrounds, but also an advocate for UNO's mission of success to exceptional affordability, education, and opportunities, Shannon is a leader on campus as well as someone who fosters collaboration between multiple campus units, all with the goal of enhancing the UNO student experience. This has been especially important for the students impacted by the programming Shannon leads during a time of stress and uncertainty due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether it is his colleagues, UNO students, system administrators, or community leaders, Shannon has been an asset to Omaha, to Nebraska, and to the higher education mission of the University of Nebraska.
Congratulations. Thank you. This concludes the Kudos Awards recipients. Thank you for joining us live stream, and hope that you enjoyed this portion of our meeting. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you. We would like to take a minute to recognize our longtime corporate secretary, Carmen Maurer, for the University of Nebraska with a resolution. And this resolution will be read by Regent Ferries. Regent Ferries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we on? Okay. Well, it's a personal pleasure for me to be able to present this resolution on honoring Carmen Maurer. Whereas Carmen Maurer has served as the corporate secretary of the University of Nebraska since April of 2011, managing meetings of the board and its committees with professionalism and precision. And whereas in addition to serving as corporate secretary, Carmen has served the university in the general counsel's office for almost 20 years. And she's been an advisor to the president since 2016. And whereas during her time, as corporate secretary, Carmen demonstrated a commitment to the effective and efficient operation of the board. And whereas Carmen freely gives of her time to mentor and to share her extensive institutional knowledge, as well as volunteering tirelessly in her neighborhood and in the Lincoln community. And whereas Carmen has not only supported the university as an employee, but as a lifelong fan of Husker athletics. And whereas Carmen can always be relied upon for a thorough response, grounded in uncommon common sense, measured and thoughtful advice, or perhaps even an entertaining cat photo. We are happy then that it be resolved that the University of Nebraska Board expresses its sincere appreciation for the exemplary contributions of Carmen Maurer during her term as corporate secretary and wishes her well in the promising future that awaits her. It's been my privilege to serve with her for 14 years since I've been on the board, and to also not only respect her and appreciate her as the employee and corporate secretary, but to class her as a real friend. So in the words of the late Walt Disney, I do not like to repeat success. I like to go on, do other things. So Carmen, best wishes and thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Congratulations and thank you, Carmen. At this time, we'd like to turn it over to President Carter for him to provide his remarks this morning. Thank you, President Carter.
Thank you, Chairman Pillen, and good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to echo Regent Ferris's proclamation and personally congratulate and thank Carmen Maurer for her service to this board and to our university. Second, I'd like to recognize publicly our Executive Vice President and Provost, Dr. Susan Fritz, who's with us here today. Good to see you, Susan. As many of you know, the university, in conjunction with Susan, announced her plan to retire at the end of June of 2021. And I want to acknowledge the lifelong service of Dr. Susan Fritz, not only as our Executive Vice President and Provost, but also as our interim president prior to my arrival. A native Nebraskan, a three-time graduate of the university. She's done exceptional service for all of us. So Susan, from me to you and from all of us, thank you and congratulations. I know we'll recognize you more formally as we get closer.
Thank you, Jeff.
The last time we met, we were about to begin an unprecedented school year in the university's history. We're now halfway through the fall semester, and I want to give you an update on how we're doing. In short, what we've seen over the past several months is the University of Nebraska truly at its best. We've risen to the challenge, and we are delivering for our students and the people of Nebraska. I knew when I took this job that the faculty and staff at the University of Nebraska were some of the best in the world, but the way our people have come together to keep fulfilling our mission, even in these challenging times, has, to put it in the most simple words I can, it's blown me away. I can't give enough credit to our chancellors, their leadership teams, and the faculty and staff who are going above and beyond every single day to keep our university community safe, to provide the highest quality education to our students, and to keep us on track with the in-person learning that we believe is so critical to the overall collegiate experience. I could give you many, many examples, but I will just give you a couple. First of all, faculty getting creative to teach safely. One example is music classes taking place outside to mitigate the spread of the virus. Classes moved to large recital halls to allow students to distance. Custodial staffs doing extra work, going the extra mile to keep our classrooms and buildings safe and clean. IT staff taking care to make sure every single student can engage successfully, whether they're in the classroom or they are physically present, or if they're Zooming in. Facility staff making sure every space is marked for social distancing. The additional workload our faculty has taken on to plan for multiple scenarios during these uncertain times and to serve students wherever they are. If I said the faculty are working 2 to 3 times more than usual, I'd probably be underselling it. They do it because they care about their students, they love their job, and they believe in their successes and their well-being of our students. We're fortunate, thanks to our diligent planning, we're still delivering in-person instruction, unlike many other universities that have been forced to go remote. I think that says something about the Nebraska spirit. We take care of each other here. We need to continue to be vigilant, wearing our masks, washing hands, staying home when we're sick, making sure we have targeted quarantine and contact tracing when necessary. The virus is still here, clearly still part of our lives, but I think the chancellors will tell you that they have settled into a good rhythm and that we have every confidence we will complete the fall semester successfully. I want to talk about what I view as one of the greatest success stories of our university this fall, and that's enrollment. If you go back to the spring and summer, and it may seem like it was a long time ago for many of us, but the national rhetoric at the time was that the predictions for enrollment were going to be dire across the nation. Most projections estimated a 15% decline in higher education enrollment this year because of COVID-19. And we understood the reasons for these projections. We all faced uncertainty through the pandemic, and it would be understandable for students and their families to be thinking carefully about what their next steps would be. But for the University of Nebraska, the consequences of a 15% enrollment decline would have been devastating. Financially, of course, but also for our state's workforce and for the strength and vitality of our communities. A significant enrollment decline would have taken us years to recover. And quite honestly, that's time we don't have. So if you look at the report on rural healthcare workforce that UNMC just put out a few days ago, Nebraska's rural communities have an acute need for more healthcare professionals. 17 of our 93 counties have no pharmacists. This is just one example of how we would have been set back further. I was just in Kearney this week for the grand opening of Discovery Hall, a facility that is a game changer for the STEM workforce of Greater Nebraska. And UNL has an aggressive growth plan for the College of Engineering, and UNO can't produce IT graduates fast enough. This is just some context for where we are in terms of our enrollment needs. So our University of Nebraska could not afford for its university not to grow. So the chancellors and I made a decision early on with the support of the Board of Regents. Enrollment would be our highest strategic priority. Every employee would get an enrollment officer. Our actions would be driven by a goal to stabilize enrollment. Now, as many of you know, enrollment here at the University of Nebraska has been on a modest decline even over the last couple years. But because of these actions, and as many of you know, we started this path by creating the Nebraska Promise. Free tuition for Nebraska students with family incomes of $60,000 adjusted gross income or less. This program is about opportunity, making sure Nebraska students know that we're here for them, that we want them to be here, and that no Nebraskan should be denied the promise of a college education because of cost. Today, I have new data about the impact of Nebraska Promise that I'm pleased to share with you. 7,000 plus Nebraska students qualified for Nebraska Promise this year. That's 1,100 more than qualified last year for our previous need-based financial aid program. This is an 18% increase. This also includes 725 students who were not Pell eligible but who qualified for full tuition coverage with our expanded income eligibility. That's 725 new doors opened. 2,000 of our Nebraska Promise students live in university housing. There's an opportunity to grow that number in future years when we don't have COVID housing capacity restrictions. In all, we project over $73 million in net revenues from Nebraska Promise students, close to 2% more than our financial aid programs last year. About half of that comes from tuition and half from other revenues like housing and fees. So let me put it another way and maybe give it better context. For every dollar in tuition that we waived across the university system, the university receives $7 in tuition and revenues. That's a 7-to-1 return on investment based on numbers and economics alone. Of course, the return is much greater than that. The full return of the investment in Nebraska Promise is calculated in opportunities created for our young people, in jobs filled, and growth of our workforce and economy. And Nebraska Promise helped us achieve our highest strategic priority. We stabilized enrollment and maintained access for Nebraskans. You know, I've been asked by many people early on, how can you afford to offer Nebraska Promise? Who's going to pay for it? Looking at our results, the real question is, how could we not afford to do this? And yes, the university did pay for it ourselves, and the cost and the return on investment made it all worthwhile. And we bucked the national rhetoric with a 1% increase overall in enrollment system-wide. We did that despite declines in international enrollment that we knew would occur. Among Nebraskans, we were up 2%, and every campus saw growth among Nebraskan undergraduates. And maybe my greatest point of personal pride, we are up significantly among minority, first generation, and low-income students. Here's what that tells me. Nebraska Promise opened doors. Other institutions have not been as fortunate. Our neighbors to the east are experiencing serious declines this year. Early returns nationally show that undergraduate enrollment among all institutions is down 2 to 2.5%. And what I see as a particularly alarming trend, there are signs that enrollments among low-income and minority students are declining disproportionately, often in double-digit declines. There was a report last week that said 100,000 fewer high school seniors filled out federal assistant and federal student aid this year than last. Now is exactly the time we need to be expanding access, not falling further behind and supporting students who are already historically underrepresented. So I am especially proud of what Nebraska Promise has been able to deliver in terms of access for Nebraskans. Now, of course, getting our students enrolled and getting them in the front door is terrific, but we need now to do everything we can to support them all the way to a degree, and the chancellors and I are laser focused on growing our retention and timely graduation rates. And we are continuing to look for new strategies to support Nebraska students. For example, right now, until October 18th, Nebraskans can apply to any of our undergraduate campuses for free. So students fill out your FAFSA, find out if you qualify for Nebraska Promise, and apply to the University of Nebraska. We think there is no better place to be. I'll end my remarks by again thanking our chancellors and all the faculty and staff who are continuing to move the University of Nebraska forward. This is an unprecedented time, but we are continuing to get stronger and stronger. And my hope and my belief is that at the end of the day, when we return to some semblance of normalcy, some point in the future, that we will have come out of this period in our nation's history and the state of Nebraska stronger than when we entered. Thank you, everyone. Regent Pillen, I return it back to you.
Thank you, President Carter. We'll move on. The standing rules of the board provide that any person or persons may appear and address the Board of Regents on items that are not on the agenda. If an individual provides the corporate secretary with 24 hours notice, in addition, anyone desiring to speak on matters on the agenda for this meeting, regardless of notice, may do so. Each person or persons wishing to speak will be given up to 5 minutes to make remarks. The public comment period of our meeting is limited to 30 minutes. We have been contacted by several individuals who wish to speak on a topic not on the agenda. When your name is called, please come forward, identify yourself, and complete the sign-in sheet if you have not done so at the entry. You have 5 minutes to address the board. First on our list is Anna Kraus, has asked to speak on the topic of divesting the fossil fuels. Please come forward. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for being here this morning.
Can you all hear me? Okay. Good morning, University of Nebraska Regents. First, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all. My name is Anna Kraus, and I'm a current senior at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I'm here to testify in support of the University of Nebraska fully divesting from the fossil fuel industry as soon as possible. I'm a native Nebraskan who was born and raised in Lincoln. Both of my parents attended the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and I'm the fourth of my siblings to attend the university as well. And I know for a fact that a handful of my little nieces and nephews will choose to attend the university in future years to come. Knowing this, I'm committed to helping the leaders of my university make decisions that will directly impact my family. I believe divesting from fossil fuels is an imperative action because our current involvement in the industry directly conflicts with the future plans of our institution. I have the honor of being the president of the College of Arts and Sciences Student Advisory Board. Our board represents the voices of College of Arts and Sciences students and helps faculty and staff make informed decisions based on students' needs. Last night, our board and other students met directly with Dean Mark Button to give him our feedback on the College of Arts and Sciences 2025 strategic plan. One of our university's and 2025 aims is to, quote, focus research, scholarship, creative activity, and students' experiences to foster innovative, interdisciplinary endeavors to solve challenges critical to Nebraska and to the world. My college's goal in response to this is we will leverage existing areas of research to address some of today's most pressing challenges, including climate change, resiliency, and environmental sustainability. These goals mean that the College of Arts and Sciences funds will be prioritized for research in environmental sustainability. We will hire professors and support students' theses around the goal of stopping climate change. These initiatives directly conflict with our university's involvement in the fossil fuel industry. If we plan to fund research on environmental sustainability, it is a conflict of interest to have millions of dollars more invested in fossil fuels. I don't really see how the university can have it both ways. It is a disservice to those university employees and students who still have so much university investment put in the fossil fuel industry. So, not only is our university's $4 million invested in fossil fuels directly in opposition with the College of Arts and Sciences, it is also simply not the fiscally responsible decision. Fossil fuels are proven to be a dying industry, and market and consumer demand continues to move toward more sustainable resources. If you're looking for proof, this week, NextEra Energy, a solar and wind energy company, became the #1 energy company in the United States, beating out ExxonMobil. So, why does our university continue to support fiscally irresponsible decisions with the money from our donors? Why do we have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in Chinese and Russian fossil fuel corporations when an American renewable alternative like NextEra Energy exists? I want a Nebraska that values its college's initiatives, that values the fiscally responsible use of its donors' money, and one that keeps my family and thousands of others confident in the direction of their university. Thank you for your time.
Next this morning is Catherine Werner, who's asked to speak on the topic of divesting fossil fuels. Catherine?
Good morning. My name is Kat Warner, and I'm a junior at UNL majoring in economics, environmental studies, and natural resource economics. It's great to see you all again. I was here in February, so it's wonderful to see you. Before I get started, I would like to invite you all to sit back, look up from your electronics, and listen to what we, the University of Nebraska students, have to say. First, I would like to thank you all for committing to create a university-wide sustainability plan. When President Carter announced that, I was overjoyed, because this is what we are working towards, and this is what we are fighting for every single day. I'm here today to talk to you about my future, and how divesting from the $91.3 million that we have invested in the fossil fuel industry is in the best interest of it. Divesting from fossil fuels is common sense, and we say it a lot as Nebraskans. But this is true because multiple studies have shown that funds that divest actually perform better than funds that are invested in fossil fuel industries. This is because enough environmentally sound companies are increasingly viable, fossil fuel companies are increasingly risky, and socially responsible funds attract ethical investors. Along with this, sustainability is becoming an issue more and more of our generation is caring about. I was talking to one of my friends the other day who's getting her PhD in climatology, and it seemed crazy to me that someone could be born, get through primary school, to get their bachelor's, master's, and PhD before we start enacting changes to reduce the damages we now see every day in her profession. And something that I learn about every day in my classes. And that's why I'm here. Because what is the point in sitting in a room a mile away when the people sitting in this room aren't doing anything with the information that I'm learning? With the information with a lot of the students here are learning. I was in class when the devastating floods and cyclone ripped through our communities over a year ago. I was in class while wildfires took away millions of acres on the West Coast. I was in class when hundreds of thousands of people were dying of a disease that's only projected to get worse as temperatures rise in the world. I said this last time, but it's even more relevant today. Watching Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, California, etc. burn is not a movie. Watching thousands of people lose their home to natural disasters is not a movie, but oh boy do we wish it was. And watching us get up here and fight for change is not a movie. It is reality. If this sounds extreme or alarmist to you, I want you to know that this is what I'm learning every day a mile away from here. And this is what our world is becoming, and why we are here pleading for you to start doing something about it. I'm a Nebraskan. This means I am honest, passionate, hardworking, and I'm here to ask to work with you all. That's why we are here. We come here asking and wanting to work with you. We want the go-ahead so that we can work together as a team. Because whether or not you were born here, you are a Nebraskan. And Nebraskans work together as a union because we want to achieve our goals. Because I don't want to look the next generation in the eye and apologize for doing nothing when the research was conclusive before I was even born. Thank you.
Next is Brittany McGuire. She is asked to speak on the topic of University of Nebraska divesting from fossil fuels. Brittany.
Can you hear me? I feel like I need to go on my tiptoes. Okay. Hello, my name is Brittany McGuire. I'm a senior at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln studying fisheries and wildlife and urban forestry. I'm here today to talk to you all about divestment, but first I wanted to thank you all for committing to identifying and reducing gender and racial equity gaps, pay gaps within our university. The NU Foundation and the Board of Regents have reported that the University of Nebraska system, including all 4 campuses, has $91.3 million invested in fossil fuels. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln alone has $4 million invested in companies that made the Carbon Underground 200 list. This is a list of the top 100 coal and top 100 oil and gas companies with the highest potential carbon emissions globally. Each one of those $91.3 million is a message to the world that the University of Nebraska supports the fossil fuel industry and all of its injustices. Coal plants and other industrial facilities linked to the burning of fossil fuels are disproportionately yet strategically placed in low-income and BIPOC communities. These communities live with poor air quality and experience higher rates of asthma, among other health disparities linked to the coal plant in their backyards. This is deliberate environmental racism at the hands of the fossil fuel industry that's happening in our own state. And I could also name off a bunch of reports, tell you some alarming statistics about climate change, or give details about the record-breaking fire season in the West. But I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that if you're on the Board of Regents of a land-grant research institution, you already understand the science and severity of the climate crisis we're currently living in. This is a crisis fueled by an industry whose top executives are knowingly and unapologetically devastating our planet and our people in the name of profit and growth. But guess what? Just as the fossil fuel executives know all of this, yet continue business as usual, we also know all of this. Reports and studies coming out of this very university know all of this. Yet a blind eye was turned until students dug and uncovered this dirty money. I'm a first-generation college student, and as a senior on the cusp of graduation, it's a little bit scary, but I've been reflecting on the lessons that I've learned here. And one that stands out in this moment is knowledge is power, but only when you do not turn a blind eye to it. I'm asking you all not to be complacent in this moment. The facts and lived experiences are clear, and it's time to take action. As soon as we uncovered the $91.3 million, myself and a smart, passionate, and empathy-driven group of students began organizing right away. While our priorities shifted when the pandemic hit, we are happy to announce that as of Monday, the Divest NU campaign is back at full capacity. On Monday, we launched a petition that has already gotten over 100 signatures, and I'd like to read a few notable quotes from supporters now. Chris is a student leader at UNMC, and he said, quote, "This initiative has the full support of the Healthy Earth Alliance student interest group at UNMC." Dr. Elizabeth Chalecki from UNO said, quote, "Our core mission is education. How can we teach our students that climate change is a problem and then act against mitigating that very problem?" And Erica Dufresne, quote, "I am a third-generation Husker, a UNO faculty member, and a mother of 2 children. We must do what is right and divest from the fossil fuel industry." As you can see, this isn't just a few of us crazy students coming up here to testify in front of you. This is a movement. Our coalition of students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the university have identified 3 demands. 1, immediately freeze any new investment in fossil fuel companies. 2, publicly commit to be fully divested from the fossil fuel industry by 2025 and immediately get to work to make that happen. And 3, make all information and actions taken in regards to fossil fuel divestment public and transparent starting right now. I live by the principle of leaving everywhere I go better than I found it, and so do my friends with Divest NU. We are ready to work hand in hand with you to put together a plan and implement the University of Nebraska's fossil fuel divestment. We're ready to go to work leaving our university better than we found it, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you for your time.
Next is Luca Reith, asked to speak on the topic of University of Nebraska divesting from fossil fuels. Luca?
Good morning. My name is Lucas, and I'm a student at UNL majoring in international business. And for as long as I've been researching divestment, I have not understood why we haven't yet divested. It is clear as day to me that fossil fuels will not be a part of our future. Renewable energy is the future. Better yet, it must be the future. Investments in fossil fuels are preventing the transition towards green energy. This only sets us up to have a crisis in which the carbon bubble will burst and everyone will lose. We will lose money, thousands of jobs will vanish without notice, and the world economy will lose upwards of $1 trillion. There are so many good financial and moral reasons to divest, and yet all I hear about are these complex financial reasons against divestment. But every day we wait, these reasons become less and less important, and the reasons to divest become more and more pressing. We We are also here today to remind you that this is what our student population wants. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln, with the Association of the Big Ten Students, has agreed that schools should divest as soon as possible. This is a representation of over 500,000 students and over 5.7 million alumni. My main point today is that we are behind the curve. Some groups that have at least partially divested already include the City of Washington, D.C., the University of California System, Cornell University, Johns Hopkins University, Rockefeller Brothers Fund, BlackRock Funds, Dome University, Creighton, and even the Vatican. This is over $11 trillion that has been divested because of the activism you see here today. Divestment is not unprecedented. It is smart, and it is time to act now. We must start planning to divest, and we look forward to working with you guys on this topic in the future. Thank you.
Is there anyone who wants to address the board on a topic that is part of today's agenda? If so, please come forward, identify yourself, complete the sign-in sheet if you have not done so. Seeing none, I declare the opportunity for public comment closed. On behalf of the board, we wish to thank each individual for taking time to come today and share your thoughts with us. We appreciate it. It is now time to consider the consent agenda. The consent agenda is, as indicated by its name, is moved and voted on as a group of action items, as opposed to the administrative agenda where items are considered and discussed individually. With that being said, unless one of my colleagues on the board wishes to consider any of these items in the administrative agenda, I would invite a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve.
Must be a new game coming on right now. So I move, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved by Regent Ferry, second by Regent Clare.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make one comment regarding this. I've had a couple of people ask me about the item that's business affairs here, and all we're doing with that is simply changing the name of a committee. We've been business affairs. We're changing it to business and finance. We have questions constantly when we're in the middle of accreditation or audits or what have you. Do you have a finance committee? Well, we do. And the functions that are done there are done within the Business Affairs Committee. So we're just trying to clarify this as to what the real function of the committee is.
Thank you, Regent Ferries, for the clarification. There's been a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. Please call roll.
Regent Moore,
Yes.
Regent Schroeder,
Yes.
Regent Beal,
Yes.
Regent Miller,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
Yes.
Regent Ferris,
Yes.
Regent Pillen,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent White,
Yes.
Regent Clare,
Yes.
Regent Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I would now ask President Carter to guide us through the administrative agenda.
First, under academic affairs, this refers to item 11A1, request approval to merge the Department of Family Studies in the College of Business and Technology and the Department of Counseling Psychology in the College of Education into a new Department of Counseling, School Psychology, and Family Science to be housed in the College of Education at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. The merger will create opportunities for greater collaboration and better leveraging of faculty expertise, and as a consequence, potential strengthening of curricular offerings. This proposed merger will result in a unit that offers 6 academic programs and 1 certificate program, which closely align in focus, content, and mission. The proposed merger anticipates no changes in faculty resources, instructional equipment needs, or other resources beyond a chair stipend. The merger was reviewed by the Council of Chief Academic Officers and the Academic Affairs Committee. I recommend it to you for your approval.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
So moved by Regent Schroeder. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ronnie. The motion and a second. Discussion.
Makes sense to me.
Seeing none, please call roll.
Regent Schroeder.
Yes.
Regent Beal.
Yes.
Regent Miller.
Yes.
Regent Moore.
Yes.
Regent O'Connor. Regent Ferris.
Yes.
Regent Pillen.
Yes.
Regent Schaefer.
Yes.
Regent White.
Yes?
Regent Clare.
Yes.
Regent Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11A2 requests approval to create a Master of Science in Health Sciences in the Department of Biology in the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. The proposed online 30-credit-hour graduate program can be completed in 1 year. The Master of Science in Health Sciences is designed for bachelor degree holding health science students needing additional academic preparation prior to entering professional schools, and for students who have been out of school and need to update their academic credentials. No additional courses will need to be added at UNK already offers the curriculum in on-campus and online formats. This proposal has been approved by the Council of Academic Officers and the Executive Graduate Council. This proposal also has been reviewed by the Academic Affairs Committee. I recommend it to you for your approval.
Thank you, President Carter. Is there a motion and a second, please? So moved by Regent Beal. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Regent Schroeder. Thank you. Discussion. Regent Schroeder.
I would just like to say that I think this is a really excellent addition to the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and especially as we work forward trying to expand access to the healthcare sciences, I think this is a really great stepping stone. The only thing I would kind of focus on is the cost of tuition. I think for out of state is about $551 per credit hour estimated, and I think potentially making that even lower to attract talent from out of Nebraska into Nebraska, I think would be a good way to continue to expand our workforce.
Thank you for that comment. I would add that the UNK Department of Health Sciences has, for generations, provided tremendous access to rural students and preparation to where they can compete with any students in the professional curriculum. So I think it's a great move as well. Please call roll.
Regent Beal.
Yes.
Regent Miller.
Yes.
Regent Moore.
Yes.
Regent Schroeder.
Yes.
Regent Ferris.
Yes.
Regent Pillen.
Yes.
Regent Schaefer.
Yes.
Regent White.
Yes.
Regent Clare.
Yes.
Regent Hawk.
Yes.
Regent O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11A3 requests approval to create a Master of Science in Supply Chain Management in the Department of Supply Chain Management and Analytics in the College of Business at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. The proposed online 30-credit-hour Master of Science in Supply Chain Management program includes instruction in the key aspects of supply chain management, including logistics, production planning, and control, sourcing and procurement, lean management, project management, and supply chain software systems and technologies. Graduates of the program will be prepared to take positions in numerous fields related to the supply chain management, such as manufacturing, logistics, transportation, sourcing, and operations consulting. This proposal has been approved by the Council of Academic Officers and the Executive Graduate Council. This proposal also has been reviewed by the Academic Affairs Committee. I recommend it to you for your approval.
Thank you, President Carter. Would Regent Hawks so move?
Yes.
Regent Whites, would you second, please?
Second?
Thank you. Discussion,
Mr. Chairman,
please.
the only thing I would add is how critical this is that we have it, and I look forward to the day when there's a doctorate in this area.
Thank you, Regent Hawks. Other comments? Please call roll.
Regent Miller, Yes. Regent Moore,
Yes.
Regent Schroeder,
Yes.
Regent Beal,
Yes.
Regent Pillen,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent White,
Yes.
Regent Clare,
Yes.
Regent Hawk,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
Yes.
Regent Ferris.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Under the Business Affairs column, I'll introduce item 11B1. Item 11B1 requests approval to amend Regents Policy 5.9, adding section 5.9.5 related to student fee variances. Despite significant changes to the university's student body and education delivery modalities, the university's current student fee framework has remained largely unchanged for decades. This difficult and unprecedented time has highlighted the university's need to be flexible and responsive to the challenges of students and opportunities available to campuses. Today, I am seeking your approval of an amendment to allow us to pilot a pilot program for fee variances. The fee variances process would be similar to tuition variances. Following each academic year, the board would be provided an annual report on variances granted and the impact of those actions. Any proposal for a variance will state the specific purpose to be achieved and the means for measuring its effectiveness. No variance will exceed the board approved rates, meaning that no student fees would increase, only decrease with this proposal. By approving this proposal, we will have made another positive move to improve affordability to the overall cost of attendance. This proposal was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Thank you, President Carter. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by Regent Ferris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Regent Moore. Discussion.
I would just
Regent O'Connor.
simply, go ahead.
President Carter mentioned that this was a pilot program. How long will the pilot program last?
The pilot program as proposed was for 2 years with an annual report every year. That could be changed based on the situation, of course, but that was how it has been written up in the proposal.
Mr. Chairman,
Regent Hawks.
this does not say that it's a pilot program. And an area of concern I have after looking at this is it seems like it just grants unbounded authorities, and it doesn't relate to experimenting, piloting, or the pandemic.
Thank you, Regent Hawks. Other comments?
So I think, I'd stick with that. I think as it is written, I'm probably a no vote. I don't know where anybody else is. But I would, if we reworded it in a way that makes sense for flexibility, but not standing authority to change it, it would be beneficial.
Thank you, Regent Hawks. Other comments?
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, when we when we looked at this, you remember that student fees are set by this board each year as a part of the budget. And one of the concerns that Business and Finance Committee had was that there be no way to just increase those without prior approval by the board. So that's why the last line of this says there will be no variance that will exceed board-approved rates. So what we're trying to do is give administration flexibility to deal with those. When the COVID is gone, we may see some of the need for that, go with it. So it's a little hard to determine exactly, how long we'll be involved here. But the board will receive a report at the end of the year. And I think at that particular point, if we've decided that this has not been beneficial enough, we can certainly just take action and pull this away, pretty simply. So even though the language does not say this is a pilot program, I think the intention is that it is. And with the annual report that would come, I think it would be up to us then to evaluate that and decide if we're okay with it continuing or if we want to bring an item to just simply take that section away. So I'm comfortable going ahead and doing it. I understand the concerns that have been expressed, but I think we can deal with those down the road.
I'd like to offer a comment, just so that we understand the intent of this variance fee proposal. We have been living in a dynamic world where modalities and the reality of things that happen on campus have brought up questions from our students asking why they're paying for certain things that are not occurring. For example, at UNK, there are fees associated with athletics. Clearly, athletics has not occurred this semester. Students have requested for refunds based on that. Under the current rules, we would not have the authority to do that. The dynamics of the situation would allow us with this proposal to make those refunds and again, report to the Board of Regents in a transparent manner over the course of the year by only reducing the cost of student fees with no intent and no authority to increase student fees. So that is how the proposal was intended to read. If we need to clean up the language, we can certainly do that, and we can look at.
I would like to add some language because I've been approached by students, and I think it's imperative that we respond. But it should give the authority to reduce fees for specific situations caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and which disadvantage specific students as a pilot program. If we would agree to put that in the explanation, I think that would be very advantageous, and this is an important thing to move forward on. But when we say, well, the words intend this, Regent Ferris and I have been here a long time, and we dig out the words and say, here's what the words say 3 years from now. So that would be my suggestion, to add those words and clarify this in the explanation.
Regent Ferries, as Chairman of Business and Finance, would you make an amendment to that motion?
It's just an explanation. It's not part of the motion.
I'm not sure I'm understanding whether Howard wants simply an explanation that would go along with this, which we can certainly do, or whether you're wanting to amend the language that's here.
I think if the explanation is tied to the resolution or the action item, then we have that in our files, and that's adequate.
That's fine.
Thank you, Regent Hawks. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would,
Regent O'Connor, and then Regent Clare.
Oh, sorry, you Regent.
Go ahead.
My concern, I think, with this language is just that there are very few checks that the Board of Regents and elected officials have over the university. And some of the very few checks that average Nebraskans do have over the university are the ability to set the tuition and fees. And I think that the language, the way that it's written, leaves a lot of room for any fees to be adjusted downwards. And I think that there is certainly some room for fees to be adjusted due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but this is not written that narrowly, and there's no time limit on it in this language. And I think that it would be a rare situation, aside from the COVID-19 pandemic, to have fees need to change that quickly, that it couldn't be addressed at one of the regular board meetings. We do meet several times a year, and so I would be willing to discuss a resolution like this that was limited to the COVID-19 pandemic, but I am afraid that it is giving up authority that is supposed to belong to Nebraskans through their elected officials.
Thank you for your comment, Regent O'Connor. Regent Clare.
Well, I was going to add, my concern on fees has been, in the past, has been the fee creep, and the fact that we would talk about tuition being held at a certain level, but then fees would be increased to a just, they would end up, it's tuition under a different name. But I really like this proposal because it's saying, first off, that it's giving flexibility to the campus to adjust for fees, like in the example that you're saying with UNK. Secondly, the fact that it's not going to exceed board-approved rates is something I think is very important as well. The fact that we are not going to exceed, we're approving this, and we're giving the authority to the different campuses to be nimble and refund something so as to not get into a controversy with the students in getting the refunds from UNKs, for example. And so I'm going to vote in favor of this. I really like this idea. I'm okay if Howard, if he wants to add something in the explanation. If the Business Affairs Committee says that they would agree to what his changes would be, but I'm in favor of doing something like this.
Thank you, Regent Claire. Regent Beal?
Yeah, in relation to University of Nebraska Kearney students, I was contacted by several students seeking reductions in the fees that they pay for student tickets to athletics and things like that. In meeting with Vice Chancellor John Watts, he informed me that generally they're not able to reduce fees on situations like that. And so I guess I support this because it gives the university the ability to reimburse money to students and to do so in a more effective manner. I was certainly skeptical of it to begin with, but since it doesn't give them the ability to increase fees, I think it is an action that allows them to be more nimble and work on behalf of students.
Thank you for your comment, Regent Beal. Chancellor Christensen, you had a comment.
Thank you very much. I want to add a little, I guess, context to Regional Connor's comments, which I think are correct. But part of what happens here is you do not meet that often. You meet 6-7 times a year, and by the time we would run a fee reduction through a committee, let's say we take it through Business Affairs, it does take us a considerable amount of time to do that process. And so what happens is that more likely than not, we would say, fine, we'll go through the process, but then we'll refund this to students. And effectively, that just drives up the cost for us to issue checks back because we can't give them credit on their account. So what happens is if we can do this, we can then credit their accounts. We don't have to issue checks to every student to do that. And from a cost savings, we're more likely to do the fee reduction because of that. Otherwise, we're going to factor in the cost of doing it. Naturally, the campuses are not going to want to do fee reductions. That's not going to be our first because we're running on pretty tight margins. We need all the money we have. And so it's not going to be a willy-nilly request. This is done primarily because of student desires, and there's a lot of considerations. Whatever the board decides to do is fine, but we want to make sure that you understand the context of that we may not come to the board for a $20 fee reduction. It may not be worth the time to do it, and thus students wouldn't see that.
Thank you, Chancellor Christensen. Any other?
Chair
just
Pillen,
make one-
Barbara Whites, I have a question.
Regent Weiss.
What I'm wondering is if there's some way to incorporate in the action itself a sentence to the effect that each year the Board of Regents will review what the report that's submitted and vote on its program's continuance, so that if COVID hangs on for 3 years, we just simply continue it for 3 years. If we find it's helpful in other arenas, such as some of the ones that have been brought up today, then we could again review whether we want to make it permanent or not. But I think building in a review and a vote on it each year would answer some of the concerns that people have about this being something that's slowly rolling downhill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Whites.
I was going to say something very similar to what Barb just said. This does not all relate to COVID. There have been situations over the years where I think we have been unfair with student fees for a student who can't access that particular activity. And when we have gone to online, we have some online students paying a fee for something that's on the campus that they will never have an opportunity probably to access. So what we're looking for here is some flexibility, and I think if we take item 2 in this 5.9.5, says following each academic year, the Board of Regents will be provided an annual report on the variances granted to the board, approved rates, and the impact of those actions, including any impact on access. If you want to add a sentence to the end of that saying that it will be up to the board then to approve a continuation of this practice or to discontinue it. That, we might phrase it a little better, but if this person seconding would be willing to do that, I would certainly be willing to tuck that little amendment in there. So it's not just a report, but it requires action of the board on that report to continue the process as we're moving on forward.
Then we have the words that this is a pilot program. We need to do this, there's no doubt about that. But we need to make sure we know what we're doing when we write what we're doing. So the president described it as a pilot program. I suggest we add that as well as what you added, Bob and Barbara and Elizabeth.
Thank you, Regent Hawks.
With the permission of the second, I'd be happy to
amend
it to reflect those items.
So following Robert's rules, we have a motion and a second, and we are either going to need a friendly amendment or we're going to call roll and vote. So we're, you made a motion.
I was making a friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment, and the second, who was the second on that motion? Was it Regent Schroeder? Do you accept that? Or Regent Moore was? Do you accept that amendment, Regent Moore?
Yeah, I accept.
Okay. Regent Schaefer, did you have a comment?
Well, initially, I was a little skeptical and reluctant to support this as well, but, I feel that two of the top things, I shouldn't say the most important things, but one we did this past year in selecting a president, the other one is setting tuition rates, and as Regent Claire mentioned, sometimes fees get placed into the same bucket as tuition, but the explanation that was presented today is really good. I mean, actually, the Board of Regents, we are approving what the maximum amount of fees could be, and it is a tool to allow administration to be nimble and quick and to actually benefit the ratepayer, in this case, the students who are paying tuition and fees, so that if there's no need to collect more than what we need, we can just say, we don't need to collect it, we're going to just go ahead and discount that fee. So I think it's a really, after the discussion today, I'm convinced this really is good legislation, and I'm in support of it.
Thank you, Regent Schaefer. Maybe any other comments by my colleagues? Regent Miller.
I just want to highlight what Regent Ferries and Chancellor Christensen said, that while this is a pilot program, there are situations outside of the COVID-19 pandemic that require this level of flexibility for students. And I think that we need to give proper decision-making to our campuses to be able to be that level of responsive to our students. I think this is written appropriately to make sure that fees are not exceeding the limits that are set by the board. But there are many situations where students need a little leeway, and especially highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic and the financial hardships that students are especially facing on our campus. I really hope that this pilot program will be continued throughout the years to provide that added level of flexibility for our students. So I encourage all of my members on the board to approve this motion as amended.
Thank you, Regent Miller. Stacia, if you will read the amendment, and we'll call roll, please.
We have an amendment to add language to the end of propose section 2 to allow the board to vote to continue the variances that are reported annually, and amendment to include pilot language indicating the 2-year pilot program length.
Thank you, Stacia. I want to commend my colleagues for good debate, and if anyone doesn't think that this board takes every nickel seriously for students' cost of education, this would be a good example. So please call roll.
Regent Moore,
Yes.
Regent Schroeder,
Yes.
Regent Beal,
Yes.
Regent Miller,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent White,
Yes.
Regent Clare,
Yes.
Regent Hawk,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
No.
Regent Ferris,
Yes.
Regent Pillen,
Yes.
motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to consider items 11B2 and 11B3 together, which would allow the president to authorize change orders within the Board of Regents' approved budgets for the Whitson Hall/Wigton Heritage Center and the Monroe Meyer Institute projects at UNMC. I want to be clear, these change orders have no impact on either project's overall budget. We're simply moving funds from the contingency accounts to the construction accounts. The overall projects remain within budget. However, board policy requires all change orders that exceed the lesser of 1.25% of the project budget or $1 million in the aggregate be approved by the board. Because we have reached that aggregate threshold on both of these projects, every change order from now until project completion would need to come back to the board for approval. In order to avoid project delays, UNMC is requesting that I, in consultation with Chancellor Gold, be allowed to approve any current and future change orders on these two projects as long as they remain within the board's approved budgets. These items were reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend them to you for approval.
Thank you, President Carter. Regent Weiss, would you move?
I move
Thank you.
this
Regent,
action.
Regent Hawks, would you second?
Certainly. Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, please call roll.
Regent Schroeder,
Yes.
Regent Beal,
Yes.
Regent Miller,
Yes.
Regent Moore,
Yes.
Regent White,
Yes.
Regent Clare,
Yes.
Regent Hawk,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
Yes.
Regent Ferris,
Yes.
Regent Pillen,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item 11B4 requests approval to name UNO's College of Business Mammal Hall Edition the Rod Roden Business Innovation Center. Chancellor Gold and I are both very excited about this addition to the College of Business Administration, which will provide us with 44,000 square feet of new classroom and laboratory space, seminar rooms, and a large general purpose hall. This is a strong statement about the momentum and growth in UNO's Business College, and it will open up new opportunities to expand our partnerships with businesses and organizations across the Omaha area. The additional space will allow us to host more conferences, career fairs, and other events that will be a great benefit to our students. Rod Roden earned his degree from UNO in 1967, returning to Omaha several years later to launch his automobile business. His firm now operates 5 dealerships in Omaha, Lincoln, and Council Bluffs. His service to the university includes the UNO Alumni Association Board, the UNO Chancellor's Club, and the University of Nebraska Foundation. In naming the Mammal Hall addition in honor of Mr. Roden, we express our deep gratitude for his generous support of UNO and our students. This proposal was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Thank you, President Carter. Motion, please. So moved by Regent Moore, second by Regent Ferris. Any discussion or comments? Please call roll.
Regent Beal,
Yes.
Regent Miller,
Yes.
Regent Moore,
Yes.
Regent Schroeder,
Yes.
Regent Clare,
Yes.
Regent Hawk,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor, Regent Ferris,
Yes.
Regent Pillen,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent White,
Yes.
the motion passes.
There are numerous reports for your review, and I list them in Section C.
Thank you, President Carter. Accept the above reports on behalf of the board. Do we have a motion for closed session?
I move that the Board of Regents go into closed session as authorized by Section 84-1410 of the revised statutes of Nebraska for the protection of the public interest and to prevent needless injury to the reputation of persons who have not requested a public hearing, for purposes of holding a discussion limited to the following subjects. 1, discussion regarding deployment of security personnel or devices, and 2, personnel matters involving members of the university staff.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Regent Miller. Please call for the vote.
Regent Miller?
Yes.
Regent Moore?
Yes.
Regent Schroeder?
Yes.
Regent Beal?
Yes.
Regent Hawks?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor? Regent Ferris?
Yes.
Regent Pillen?
Yes.
Regent Schaefer?
Yes.
Regent White?
Yes.
Regent Clare?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Let the minutes of this meeting reflect that this closed session shall be strictly limited to the discussion of regarding deployment of security personnel or devices and personnel matters involving members of the university staff. The Regents we will be convening in the closed session downstairs in rooms B1 and B2. And for those of you in the audience, you're welcome to remain here, and we will return here for adjournment. Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate it. Let the record show that we have reconvened an open meeting from our closed session. There being no further business and there's no objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all your work today. Thank you for all your help from the technology team. We're putting you over the top. You did a great job. We appreciate it.